See another video, and I have two stories to tell you, two patient stories, and I talked about the subject before, unconditional love. It is stunning and it's interesting how God provides for us to experience unconditional love as a constant reminder. And what am I talking about? Our pets, our dogs, our cats, all the pets, all the different ones we have, and especially dogs, and I'm kind of focusing on that, and also cats too, but it's stunning how dogs they love you unconditionally. I mean, it is, and what God has done in this sense is put these animals out there for us to experience unconditional love, just as a reminder over and over and over and over again. The other part of it too, what God has provided through pets and what we have, is our patience, how we deal with the pets, and it's stunning how it all works. And let me just go into this one story. There was a woman that came in here, and she had a pretty serious condition. She went in for heart surgery. But let me just kind of backtrack on this a little bit. She also had cancer added to all that. She had a dog, and we talked for some period of time about the dog and her relationship with the dog. They were very close, and it was a male dog, and they were very, very close. The dog sensed, and what is stunning about this story, the dog sensed that she was really quite ill. Now, you have to understand what I'm about to tell you, and it's almost hard to believe in a way, the way that she described it, but the dog knew that she was very ill, and what she felt and what was inside her, what she actually felt, the dog actually passed away. Young dog, 4 or 5 years old, nothing actually wrong with the dog at all. But the dog knew something about her, and what she was understanding in her mind, or just some outside force was letting her know the dog gave up his life so she could live longer. She has, believe it or not, she's got, I think, 32, 34 grandchildren. I mean, this family is just huge. And the dog really sensed it. I mean, the dog gave up its life for her. Unconditional love. And I mean unconditional love. It's funny how God does that. He puts things out there. You go through lessons. You go through all kinds of stuff. And this one woman, with her relationship with the dog, unconditional love for her. So she can continue to be with her grandchildren. To have more of a life, and she was in the hospital here, and she got fine. She got through it. The dog gave his life for her. That's what really was stunning. Let me go through another story that is also really interesting, and another thing that God does at times. Let me go through the story and what it is, and it's kind of an intense story, everybody. But the guy who came in here, and he was involved in a very bad accident, real bad. And what happened is that, to make a long story short, he got hit, and he was with his brother. They were both in the car. He was the one that was driving. Or actually, the brother was driving, and he was the passenger. And so what happened is there was another car perpendicular hit this car really very hard, and they had a terrible accident. And what happened is they recovered from the accident, and he was sitting in the passenger seat, and a voice told him, and he was he feels regret about this, but there was a voice that told him, and I kind of talked to him after that, a voice told him to get out of the car. Get out of the car. And so he was having some real hard problems. He was injured, got all kinds of stuff going on with his body. But he opened the door, and he just kind of rolled out and rolled along the cement, some distance away. Another car comes in, and from what I understand, Demon hit the brakes and hit that car, and he saw his brother pass away, killed in the accident. So and he came in here, and we've had some pretty long talks, or I had some really long talks, and we were talking about it. He felt the terrible guilt. He wanted to die for his brother. He wanted to be replaced. He should have died, and not his brother. They were very, very close. And the whole thing, and what we talked about, and what I was trying to convey to him, it wasn't his time. God made sure it wasn't his time. And whether it was a guardian angel of some kind, there are all kinds of possibilities what happened, but there was a voice that told him to get out of the car, and he got out of the car, and he was saved. His brother was his time, and he was killed. Comes in the hospital, we had some serious talks, and I was trying to explain to him that sometimes God provides you. He told you, number one, it wasn't your time. He made sure you get out of that car, it wasn't your time. The second thing, there are things going on with him, and I'm going to, another pet story in a way, it has to do with a ferret. When he got into the hospital, he was very, very concerned about his ferret, and who's going to take care of the ferret? Now I want you to think about this for a second. How often, how many hospitals do you think of, what I'm about to tell you about ferrets? He was worried about who's going to take care of it, so he talks to what's called the case manager, and the case manager comes in, and she happens to know, a ferret savior, a Favorite Rehab said, there's a place for ferrets they will be taken care of. What are the odds of that happening? You go to any hospital, do you think people know about ferrets? I mean, ferrets are somewhat popular, but what I was trying to tell him, what I'm trying to convey to him, is that God was taking care of him. He was doing things for him. And the other thing is money. Short on money. And he started a Facebook where they raise money, and I got to tell you, he has rent due, and there's, other bills that are coming in. He's in the hospital. He's going to be in the hospital for some period of time because he's got some bad injuries here. And what happens? There is an unknown person that donated, a heck of amount of money for him. And so he doesn't have to worry about his rent. He doesn't have to worry about his bills. He's taking care of, to be honest with you, for the next 2 or 3 months. So I tried to convey to him, that God is really providing for you. He's watching you. It wasn't your time in the accident. And something as minor as a ferret, but very important to him. Somebody knew about ferrets and where that ferret could be taken care of. And then here's the money. Little things are starting to add up, but here's the other part of this whole thing and this story about him. He's angry. He's angry that he lost his brother. He's angry about the driver, and the driver was, there were 2 of them from what I understand, very dismissal. They were trying to, when the police came and they were making excuses for it, they didn't know, they didn't see it, so on and so forth, and he was angry about this. So we started talking about that, and he made a statement that was really pretty intense. That the way that he felt, he wanted to get revenge on them, and so we started talking more about that. And I said, "You're above this." I said, "This is the moment. This is the exact time." And I've talked about this many times. You have free will. God has free will, and in this particular case, he has free will. What's he going to do? What's he going to do? He's going to get his revenge. Or is he above it? And that's the thing that that I was talking about it, and I just kept reassuring him that you're above it. And I used the example, number one, the car accident. You got out. It wasn't your time. He took care of your ferret, and he gave you money through means. God was looking out, but what the whole God was trying to do at this moment in time, this exact moment in time for his life, he has free will. What's he going to do with his anger? Unconditional love. And I just talked about the other story, unconditional love. It's interesting. I don't know what's going to happen here. I don't have the end results, but I got to tell you, these are 2 stories. These are 2 stories that are, really, it's all about conditional love, everybody. What God feels about us, and it's stunning how sometimes, how he looks after us, and things that go on in our lives. You'd be surprised, things, and I talked about this too, if you're not aware, things go right by you. If you're somewhat aware and you're kind of tuning in and you're kind of sensitive to it, God will take care of you. He's there always. He's always with you. Every second of your life, he's there. And I said this many times before, the reason he created you to be with him forevermore. You with him and him with you for all of eternity. He watches out for you. And everybody out there, he's watching out for you. I'm going to go ahead and close, and I appreciate your time on this. There are 2 stories on this, and I wanted to tell you about these 2 stories and about unconditional love. All right, I'm going to go ahead. Thanks for your time. We're watching this until the next video. And as always, I hope your day is going well. Until next time. Thanks again. I appreciate it.